Live with me, Neha Khanna. Let's get you all the top national and international stories that we are tracking at this hour. 49 Lok Sabha MPs, including National Conference leader Farooq Abdullah, Congress leaders Shashi Tharoor, Manish Tiwari, Karthi Chidambaram and NCP leader Supriya Sule have been suspended today for disrupting House proceedings as the suspension spree continues for the third day. With this, a total number of 141 members of Parliament have now been suspended in this ongoing winter session of Parliament. This includes 95 from the Lok Sabha and 46 from the Rajya Sabha. This is the first time ever that Farooq Abdullah has been suspended from the House in his political career spanning more than a decade as a member of Parliament.
सबसे दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण दिन है भारत के लोकतंत्र का। पूरे विपक्ष को निलंबित करके ऐसे कानून पारित किए जाएंगे जो भारत को एक पुलिस स्टेट में परिवर्तित कर देंगे और यही इनकी मंशा थी और यही इनको करना था।
MP Kalyan Banerjee was seen mocking Vice President Jagdeep Thankar at the sit-in protest in Parliament. The Vice President expressed shock over the incident. The BJP has slammed the mocking of the Vice President and the Chairman of the Rajya Sabha. Listen in.
इसको थोड़ी थोड़ा पीछे हो जाइए, थोड़ा पीछे प्लीज, थोड़ा पीछे हो जाइए।
You must understand that I have been appointed here only to say Narendra Modi. I understand it. My spine is, you see, my spine is very straight, very straight. I'm so tall, I'm so tall. My spine is so straight. My spine is so
इसको थोड़ी थोड़ा पीछे हो जाइए, थोड़ा पीछे प्लीज, थोड़ा पीछे हो जाइए।
my spine is so straight, so you Mr. Gandhi, you must understand that I have been appointed here only to say Narendra Modi. I understand it. My spine is, you see, my spine is very straight, very straight. I'm so tall, I'm so tall. My spine is so straight. My spine is so
Office of Chairman Rajya Sabha and Office of Speaker is very different. Political parties will have their cross currents, they will have exchanges, but imagine a senior leader of your party videographing another member of another party, mimicry of the chairman, mimicry of speaker. How ridiculous, how shameful, how unacceptable.
The Prime Minister, during his interaction with BJP MPs during the parliamentary party meet today, said it's unfortunate that it seems like the opposition is backing those who breached Parliament security. In a dig at the opposition, the Prime Minister told the BJP MPs that the current hall where they are holding meetings will not be large enough for them after the next elections.
आज कुछ लोग मिल रहे हैं दिल्ली में अलायंस के नाम पे, इनके बारे में भी तो उनका मकसद ये है कि इस सरकार को उखाड़ के फेंक देना। और लेकिन हमारे जो हम सब जो बैठे हैं तो हम लोगों को कहा, हमारा विचार है मैं भारत का भविष्य उज्जवल बनाना, ये हमारा उज्जवल भविष्य का ये हमारा सोच है। उज्जवल भविष्य के लिए, भारत के उज्जवल भविष्य के लिए हम जिएंगे और काम करेंगे, ये हमारा सोच है।
The Allahabad High Court has ruled that civil suits filed by Hindu worshippers and deity in seeking restoration of the temple at the mosque premises are not barred by the Places of Worship Act. Masjid Committee's challenge has been rejected by the court. The court further stated that the Gyanvapi compound can have either a Muslim character or a Hindu character and that the same cannot be decided at the stage of framing the issues. The High Court said on I quote, "The suit affects two major communities of the country. We direct the trial court to expeditiously decide the suit in the next 6 months." But what does this verdict entail? Let's take a look at the possible fallout. It may become easier for lower courts to decide on petitions over the right to worship. This verdict may get cited as a precedent in other cases, including Mathura. This could enable hearings on demands for worship and survey rights at religious places. The Places of Worship Act 1991 will not necessarily apply in every case.
माननीय उच्च न्यायालय ने जो फैसला दिया वह एक ऐतिहासिक है और ये सभी पक्षों को मानना चाहिए, क्योंकि उन्होंने ये कहा है कि 6 महीने में इसे निस्तारित किया जाए और उनके एप्लीकेशन को रिजेक्ट किया है। किसी चीज़ को केवल लटकाना ही न्याय नहीं है। वैसे भी बहुत देरी होने से न्याय का कोई मतलब नहीं रह जाता, इसलिए न्यायालय ने बहुत ही अच्छा निर्णय दिया है कि 6 महीने में इसे निस्तारित किया जाए। यह एक बहुत बड़ा ऐतिहासिक फैसला है, क्योंकि बहुत दिनों से ये मामला लंबित है और एप्लीकेशंस डाल करके केवल मामले को लटकाया जाए। जाने से किसी को रोक नहीं है। एक पक्ष अगर पीड़ित है तो उसे ऊपर की अदालत खुली हुई है, न्यायालय में जाने के लिए वो जा सकती है।
फैसला अच्छा आया हुआ है, हिंदू पक्ष के लिए है और हिंदू पक्ष की जीत हुई है और 6 महीने में सूट जो आज 32 साल से पेंडिंग था उसको डिसाइड करने के लिए कोर्ट ने आदेश दे दिया है। सर्वे जो इस केस में ऑर्डर हुआ था तकनीकी तरीके से वो सारे सर्वे होंगे और रिपोर्ट राकेश सिंह के केस में जो थी उसमें रखी जाएगी और उसमें जो बच गए हैं बिंदु उन पर सर्वे होगा। उनका कहना था कि सूट प्रोसीड नहीं कर सकता है, प्लेंट को खारिज कर दिया जाए, वो कोर्ट ने नहीं माना। हम लोग तो इसी में है कि इसी उसमें कि 6 महीने में सूट तय हो और अगर सुप्रीम कोर्ट जाते हैं तो वहाँ से उनका पिटीशन खारिज हो जाए।
Ayodhya is adorned with vibrant colors, lights and decorations as it prepares for the Pran Pratishtha ceremony and the inauguration of the Ram temple. On the second day of Ram Vivah, the famous Janki Mahal temple in Ayodhya witnessed the offering of 56 types of offerings to Lord Ram and the 4 brothers, including Ram Kaleva. Ahead of the Ram Mandir inauguration in January, security in Ayodhya has been intensified with the installation of CCTV cameras.
अयोध्या हमेशा से संवेदनशील क्षेत्र होने के नाते यहाँ पर पहले से ही सुरक्षा योजना के अंतर्गत हम लोग अपनी सुरक्षा ड्यूटियों को जो भूमिका देते हैं और उसके बाद उसकी सम्यक उसका अनुसरण करते रहते हैं। इसमें हमारे पास सीआरपीएफ, यूपी एसएसएफ, पीएसी और सिविल पुलिस के कंपोनेंट्स की अपनी एक सिक्योरिटी स्कीम के तहत सुरक्षा व्यवस्था सुनिश्चित की गई है। इसमें विभिन्न तकनीकी आयामों का भी समावेश किया गया है और हमने इसमें फोर्स मल्टीप्लायर्स को भी जगह जगह पर ऐड किया हुआ है और उस समेकित रूप से उद्देश्य है कि हम सुरक्षा व्यवस्था सुदृढ़ करें और साथ साथ जो श्रद्धालु आ रहे हैं उनके साथ एक बेहतर व्यवहार लोग फोर्स के लोग कर सकें, इसके आशय का व्यवहारिक प्रशिक्षण भी कराया गया है। सुरक्षा हम लोगों ने जो इसमें पूरी की पूरी जो हमारी नई सिक्योरिटी प्लान है उसके तहत कोई भी व्यक्ति जाएगा तो उसे एक फैसिलिटेशन सेंटर है उसके तहत गुजरना होगा, सिक्योरिटी चेकअप्स हैं उसके तहत उसके जाना होगा। वो सारी व्यवस्थाएं हम लोगों ने जो पहले की तुलना में और अधिक विकसित तरीके से इसको की हुई है और हमारे जगह जगह पर सीसीटीवी कैमरे रहेंगे। जो गवर्नमेंट की दृढ़ पॉलिसी है उसका हमने अक्षरशः अनुपालन यहाँ पर सुनिश्चित किया है। कोई भी बिना अनुमति के कोई ड्रोन इस एरिया में अगर उड़ते हैं तो उसमें हम जवाबदेही तय करेंगे, कठोर कार्रवाई करेंगे। एंटी ड्रोन सॉल्यूशंस को भी उस समय व्यवस्थापित रखा जाएगा ताकि हम उस पर प्रभावी कार्रवाई समय रहते कर सकें। रिवराइन सिक्योरिटी को भी हमने सुदृढ़ किया है और आगे के आने वाले समय में हम नदी तट के माध्यम से भी एक व्यापक सुरक्षा योजना हमारी तैयार है जिसका हम एक बेहतर अनुपालन कराएंगे और उसका अनुश्रवण भी हम इसको लगातार करते रहेंगे। 37 विभिन्न पार्किंग स्थलों को चिन्हित किया है, कुछ शासकीय भूमि पर है, कुछ अशासकीय हैं। दोनों तरह के स्थितियों पर हम लोगों ने एक अपनी बेहतर तैयारी की हुई है। उन पर भी हम ANPR कैमरे स्थापित रखेंगे। हम एक एडवांस सिस्टम भी विकसित करने पर कार्य कर रहे हैं जिससे कि लखनऊ से चलने पर ही आपको पता चल जाए कौन सी पार्किंग आपके लिए खाली है, कौन सी पार्किंग आपके लिए अभी उपलब्ध नहीं है। हम उसी तरीके से ट्रैफिक मैनेजमेंट सिस्टम करेंगे। डिफरेंट स्क्रीन्स के माध्यम से भी लोगों को इस तरह से अवगत कराया जाएगा कि उनको किस तरफ जाना ठीक रहेगा। समय समय पर एडवाइजरीज हमारी वेबसाइट के माध्यम से जो कि हम उसको भी लोगों को बताते रहेंगे और विभिन्न चैनल्स के माध्यम से भी। तो कुल मिलाकर के जो पीक डेज हैं जहां पर हम ट्रैफिक डाइवर्जेंस अपने रखते हैं मेलों के दौरान वहां पर हम करेंगे। जहां तक रही 22 तारीख के कार्यक्रम की बात, तो 22 तारीख को क्योंकि इसमें जिन लोगों को आमंत्रण पत्र इशू होंगे उनकी व्यवस्थाएं इसमें सुनिश्चित की गई हैं और उसी हिसाब से ट्रैफिक डाइवर्जन किया गया है। भारी वाहनों को हम लोग 21 और 22 तारीख को इस रूट पर नहीं लाएंगे और जो हमारे अन्य वाहन जो हैं उसमें भी जो खास तौर से इसमें आमंत्रित हैं उनको हम लोग अच्छी तरीके से फैसिलिटेट करेंगे। बाकी लोगों के लिए एक इस तरह की एक डाइवर्जन प्रणाली रहेगी ताकि लोग अपने गंतव्य तक आसानी से पहुंच सकें।
Meanwhile, residents of Ayodhya have opened their homes for homestays to host visitors for the upcoming grand consecration ceremony at the Ram Janmabhoomi temple. Currently, 500 homestays with 1,800 rooms have been registered. In Hyderabad, Hindu volunteers and devotees are going door to door and gave Akshantalu an invitation to devotees to visit Ayodhya Ram Janmabhoomi on the 22nd of January. Meanwhile, a Surat-based diamond merchant crafted a magnificent necklace inspired by the theme of the Ram temple in Ayodhya. The intricately designed necklace features Sri Ram, Janki Mata, Lakshman and Hanumanji adorned with 5,000 American diamonds. The centerpiece of the design is a necklace depicting the Ram temple, crafted from 3,000 American diamonds. The necklace, weighing 700 grams in total, also incorporates characters from the Ramayana, using 2 kilos of silver in its creation. Unprecedented rainfall in Tamil Nadu's Tirunelveli district has triggered by cyclonic circulation has claimed the lives of at least 4 people, including a woman. The district administration has said the victims suffered fatal incidents like wall collapses and tree falls due to incessant rain since Sunday. The town of Srivaikundam, along with 50 nearby villages, are now cut off by floods, leaving thousands stranded as roads leading to Srivaikundam have been washed away. There is no power and internet connectivity there either. The NDRF is actively engaged in rescue operations in the inaccessible areas. Southern districts including Tirunelveli, Tenkasi, Thoothukudi and Kanyakumari are witnessing heavy rains. This has led to major rivers overflowing and disrupting rail connectivity. Thoothukudi has witnessed precipitation equivalent to its average annual rainfall in a single day. Indian Air Force helicopters are deployed for crucial rescue and relief efforts, dropping food items and essential supplies to flood-affected areas. Time for a quick break here on the show. Don't go anywhere, there's plenty more on the other side.
Bangalore traffic is an example of something that has gone wrong with our system.
We have more than 50 flyovers in Bangalore city. If flyover is a solution to traffic problem, Bangalore should not have traffic problem.
According to TomTom Traffic Index 2022, Bangalore is ranked as the second worst city in the world when it comes to traffic.
The speed limit at the ORR is 80 kilometers per hour, but our vehicle has only moved 10 kilometers per hour.
What Bangalore needs is a surgery, but what we have been offered repeatedly are band-aids.
Only on the world's first news OTT. News 9 Plus, ahead of the curve.
Welcome back. You're watching News 9 Live with me, Neha Khanna. Let's now get you a complete lowdown on the Israel-Hamas war and the other international stories that we're tracking.
The following content may contain visuals that are disturbing, graphic, or sensitive in nature. Viewer discretion is advised. This material is intended for mature audiences and may not be suitable for all viewers. Please exercise caution while watching, and if you find such content distressing, we recommend discontinuing viewing. This disclaimer is provided to ensure awareness and to prioritize viewer well-being.
The war between Israel and Hamas has now entered its 74th day. Let's get you a complete lowdown on what's been happening on that front. Well, the UN Security Council vote calling for a Gaza ceasefire has been delayed for now. This as the United States says it cannot support a reference to a cessation of hostilities but might accept a call for a suspension of hostilities. Meanwhile, the Gaza Health Ministry has confirmed that 4 people were killed in the Farah refugee camp and 90 in the Jabalia refugee camp as Israel launched attacks up and down the Gaza Strip. U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin arrived in Israel on Monday for talks focused on Israel's eventual end to its high-intensity war in Gaza and safeguarding movement in the Red Sea. The CIA Director, William Burns, will meet with Israeli and Qatari officials for talks aimed at resumption of hostage exchanges. These talks will take place in the Polish capital, Warsaw. Israeli soldiers are continuing their operations in the Gaza Strip, firing weapons and flying drones. Hamas says it remains open to any suggestions for a prisoner swap with Israel, but no talks will be held until Israel completely stops its bombardment of Gaza. Israel denies targeting a Catholic church in the Gaza Strip following reports that 2 women inside the church were killed by an Israeli sniper. With people and teachers uprooted and buildings destroyed, it is likely to be many months before education can resume in Gaza. Nearly 20,000 Palestinians have been killed since the 7th of October. This includes nearly 8,000 children. The scheduled vote for a resolution calling for a sustainable cessation of hostilities in Gaza was postponed because the United States raised objections to the resolution's wording. The U.S. expressed preference for a suspension of hostilities rather than a cessation. The Arab countries negotiating the text have indicated a willingness to accommodate U.S. concerns. This shift in the U.S. position is seen as an attempt to find common ground rather than outright vetoing resolutions as witnessed in previous instances. Pressure has mounted on the U.S. after the UN General Assembly's recent vote. The proposed resolution condemns all acts of terrorism and urges the unconditional release of hostages. The diplomatic maneuvering reflects frustration within the U.S. over the Israeli government's military tactics in Gaza. The move, if successful, signals a nuanced U.S. approach and highlights the complexities surrounding the ongoing conflict. On Monday, the Israeli army released a fresh video of its soldiers fighting in Gaza as U.S.-Israel talks on a transition to the next phase of the war are underway. Residents say There was fierce fighting across the length of the Gaza Strip with communications down for a fourth day. The video shows ground troops entering buildings and firing weapons and flying drones, while another video shows aerial strikes on Hamas targets in Gaza. Well, this is what the IDF has said. Mounting attacks by the Iran-aligned Yemeni Houthi militant group on ships in the Red Sea are disrupting maritime trade as leading global freight firms reroute around the Cape of Good Hope to avoid the Suez Canal. Here's the complete story.
Attacks by the Yemeni Houthi militant group on ships in the Red Sea are forcing freight firms to reroute in order to avoid the Suez Canal. This video was released by the Houthis on November 20th, showing armed men dropping from a helicopter and seizing a cargo ship in the southern Red Sea. The latest attacks came Monday, when the Houthis said drones were launched against 2 cargo vessels in the area. The Iran-aligned Houthi said the attacks are a response to Israel's assault on the Gaza Strip, which Israel launched after the October 7 rampage by Hamas militants. The situation has prompted the United States and its allies to create a multinational operation to conduct joint patrols in the southern Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden. In Israel on Monday, U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin said no group or state should test America's resolve.
In the Red Sea, we're leading a multinational maritime task force to uphold the bedrock principle of freedom of navigation. Iran's support for Houthi attacks on commercial vessels must stop.
The attacks have showed the ability of Middle Eastern paramilitary forces backed by Iran to upset global trade. Several major freight companies have begun sailing around Africa due to the danger, and there are signs the crisis is broadening to include energy shipments. The rerouting adds costs and delays, which industry analysts expect to be compounded over the coming weeks. While freight rates will likely increase on the longer voyages, the head of global freight platform Freightos said it is unlikely that rates will spike to the level seen during the pandemic. About 15% of world traffic transits via the Suez Canal, the shortest shipping route between Europe and Asia.
Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Monday took aim at Iran over the Houthi attacks on shipping in the Red Sea. The Red Sea attacks have showed the ability of Middle Eastern paramilitary forces backed by Iran to upset global trade at a time when Tehran and its proxies are positioning themselves against the U.S. and Israel. The U.S. Secretary of Defense has announced a new coalition of the willing for the protection of maritime commerce in the Red Sea. The list of 10 participants includes the US, the UK, Bahrain, Canada, France, Italy, the Netherlands, Norway, Seychelles and Spain.
America's commitment to Israel is unwavering, and no individual, group, or state should test our resolve. So in the Red Sea, we're leading a multinational maritime task force to uphold the bedrock principle of freedom of navigation. Iran's support for Houthi attacks on commercial vessels must stop. Now, we'll continue to provide Israel with the equipment that you need to defend your country, Mr. Prime Minister, including critical munitions, tactical vehicles, and air defense systems. We'll continue to support Israel's mission to find and free all of the hostages. We must get more humanitarian assistance into the nearly 2 million displaced people in Gaza, and we must distribute that aid better. And we want to thank you for the recent initiatives that you've taken, Mr. Prime Minister. We applaud that, and hopefully that will enable us to move even more in.
President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has won a third term with nearly 90% of the votes in an election most Egyptians felt was a foregone conclusion. The former general's previous 2 terms were marked by a crackdown on political dissent.
السيد عبد الفتاح سعيد حسين خليل السيسي.
Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has won a third term in an election where he faced no serious challenges and garnered nearly 90% of votes. According to election authorities on Monday, Sisi called the result a rejection of the inhumane war in neighbouring Gaza. Some voters said the eruption of conflict in Gaza had encouraged them to vote for Sisi, who presents himself as a bulwark of stability in a volatile region. That argument has also proved persuasive to Gulf and Western allies, who provide financial support to his government. Egyptians voted on December 10th to 12th. The state and tightly controlled domestic media pushed hard to boost turnout in the poll, which the election authority said had reached 66.8%, above the 41% recorded at the last presidential election in 2018. The election featured 3 other candidates, none of them high profile. The most prominent potential challenger halted his run in October, saying officials and thugs had targeted his supporters, accusations dismissed by the election authority. Many people in the Arab world's most populous country expressed indifference about the election, saying the result was a foregone conclusion. Reuters reporters witnessed voters being bussed into some polling stations and bags of food being handed out, while some voters said they were offered financial incentives. The state media body said any provision of money or goods in return for votes was a criminal offence. Sisi, a former general, has overseen a sweeping crackdown on dissent across the political spectrum since he led the overthrow of Egypt's first democratically elected leader, Mohamed Morsi of the Egyptian Brotherhood, in 2013.
Time for us to slip into a quick break here on Newsline Live, but don't go anywhere. We have lots more for you on the other side.
Today, she is the only smiling leader in Rajasthan. All eyes will be on her moves if the BJP returns to power.
Vasundhara Raje Scindia defied all the odds to become the first woman chief minister of Rajasthan.
She has the uncanny ability of striking rapport with all sections. That's why she is very popular in her constituency, not only in her constituency but in entire Rajasthan.
This and more, streaming on world's first news OTT, News9 Plus. Download now.
They picked my husband. He was tortured there for 2 years. He was enforced disappeared. We had no idea where he is. Within 15 minutes, we got the information that the whole area is surrounded by Pakistan Army. I came out from that in disguise, and after 5 to 6 hours, I was in Kandahar. I don't have any message for Pakistan. There is no politician in Pakistan. They are puppets of Pakistan Army.
Streaming now. This and more, streaming on world's first news OTT, News9 Plus. Download now.
The scale of the attack was something that we were surprised at. David Hadley was a double agent. The Americans did not want him to be fully exposed, so all that he probably shared with the Americans was not shared with us in terms of intelligence. If we had that, I'm sure that we would have been able to deal with the situation far better.
This and more, streaming on world's first news OTT, News9 Plus. Download now.
Bangalore traffic is an example of something that has gone wrong with our system.
We have more than 50 flyovers in Bangalore city. If flyover is a solution to traffic problem, Bangalore should not have traffic problem.
According to TomTom Traffic Index 2022, Bangalore is ranked as the second worst city in the world when it comes to traffic.
The speed limit at the ORR is 80 kilometers per hour, but our vehicle has only moved 10 kilometers per hour.
What Bangalore needs is a surgery, but what we have been offered repeatedly are band-aids.
Only on the world's first news OTT. News 9 Plus, ahead of the curve.
Welcome back. Republican frontrunner Donald Trump declared plans for the largest deportation in American history if re-elected in 2024. During a Reno rally, he labeled President Joe Biden a low IQ individual and the worst, most incompetent and most corrupt president in American history. A day earlier, Trump in New Hampshire accused undocumented immigrants of poisoning the blood of our country, using language criticized as xenophobic and echoing Nazi rhetoric. He emphasized the stance amid concerns about the record number of migrants attempting illegal U.S. border crossings.
Given the unprecedented millions of Biden illegal aliens who are invading our country, it is only common sense that when I'm re-elected, we will begin, and we have no choice, the largest deportation operation in American history. We have no choice. Joe Biden and the Democrat Party are incapable of solving any problem. There's not a problem they've been able to solve. Crooked Joe is a low... You know this. Did you ever hear this? Crooked Joe is a low IQ individual. And he is truly the worst, most incompetent, and most corrupt president in the history of our country. In fact, Jimmy Carter is very happy because he looks like that was a brilliant administration by comparison to what you have right now.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott signed SB 4, a new law allowing state law enforcement to arrest individuals suspected of illegally crossing the U.S.-Mexico border, a power traditionally held by federal agencies. The law, effective in March, establishes a new state crime for illegal entry into Texas, with penalties ranging from 180 days to 20 years in prison. Magistrate judges will mandate migrants to return to Mexico with potential 20-year sentences for non-compliance. Abbott also approved a $1.5 billion bill for border wall construction, in addition to the existing $5 billion in state funds allocated for border enforcement.
Biden's deliberate inaction has left Texas to fend for itself. The authors of the United States Constitution foresaw a situation when the federal government would be inattentive to states that faced challenges at their borders. And in response, they inserted Article 1, Section 10 to the United States Constitution to empower states to take action to defend themselves. And that is exactly what Texas is doing. I will sign 3 laws today to better protect Texas and America from Biden's border neglect. The first is Senate Bill 4 from the 4th special session. The goal of Senate Bill 4 is to stop the tidal wave of illegal entry into Texas. It creates a criminal offense for illegal entry into Texas from a foreign nation. I'm also signing Senate Bill 3 from the 4th special session. Senate Bill 3 adds $1.54 billion more to build more border barriers and walls like what we have here. It includes also $40 million for the Texas Department of Public Safety for border security operations and increased law enforcement presence.
Abbott has criticized President Joe Biden for perceived lax enforcement of federal laws on illegal entry. At least 111 people were killed and more than 230 injured after an earthquake hit the Gansu Qinghai border region in China. According to reports by state media, and rescue operations are currently underway. The European Mediterranean Seismological Center had pegged the earthquake at magnitude 6.1. Chinese state media said the quake was measured at 6.2 magnitude. The quake occurred at a depth of 35 kilometers with its epicenter 102 kilometers west-southwest of Gansu's provincial capital Lanzhou. Official reports have not stated whether there are any missing people in the quake's aftermath. Emergency workers braving the biting cold have teamed up with local personnel to expedite search and rescue operations. Schools and highways have been closed and train services have also been suspended. The Vatican said on Monday in a landmark ruling approved by Pope Francis that Roman Catholic priests can administer blessings to same-sex couples as long as they are not part of regular church rituals or liturgies.
In a landmark ruling announced by the Vatican on Monday, Pope Francis formally authorized Catholic priests to bless same-sex couples. The radical shift was described as a major step forward by Father James Martin, a Jesuit priest who ministers to the LGBT community.
It's really the first time that there's been any sort of opening to blessing same-sex couples, so it's a big deal.
Monday's announcement marked another significant change made by the Pope in his effort to make the Roman Catholic Church more welcoming. But the new rule made clear that such blessings can only be administered on a case-by-case basis and only as long as they are not part of regular church rituals or liturgies. It also said that it should in no way be confused with the sacrament of heterosexual marriage. Outside St. Patrick's Cathedral in New York City, Martin Hardwick and his partner Andrew Gibb welcomed the news.
You know, if Jesus said love was love, then love is love, isn't it? We've been together 41 years. So, and we're married. So,
it's about time, yeah. Long overdue.
Yeah.
In Pope Francis's hometown of Buenos Aires, some residents saw the ruling as a measure to fight discrimination.
It is a paradigm shift for the church, and the inclusion of same-sex couples is a change for the church. As Argentinians, we feel proud that the Pope has taken this initiative because in our country, there are laws that have been accompanying this process of transformation for several years.
Monday's ruling is bound to be opposed by conservatives, who already criticized the Pope when he hinted that an official change was in the works in October in response to questions put forward by 5 conservative cardinals.
In other news, Hollywood actor Jonathan Majors, known for his role as Disney villain Kong the Conqueror and Ant-Man, was found guilty of assaulting his ex-girlfriend in a car by a New York jury. Soon after the verdict, Disney dropped Majors from future projects. The New York jury of 6 convicted him on 1 count of assault and a count of harassment and acquitted him of the other charges. The verdict followed a 2-week trial in the State Court of Manhattan. Majors faces up to a year in prison and is set to be sentenced on the 6th of February. The Manhattan District Attorney's Office cited evidence of a cycle of psychological and emotional abuse by Majors. Majors' lawyer claimed his innocence, stating that the ex-girlfriend attacked him and falsely accused him. The actor had filed a complaint against her, leading to her arrest, but the case was later closed. Majors, 34, faced a professional fallout, being dropped by his management, PR firm and advertisers after the arrest. Disney-owned Marvel promptly removed him from future projects, including the 2026 release, Avengers: The Kang Dynasty. Passionate supporters of Brazilian football club Fluminense celebrated with joy as their team secured a spot in the Club World Cup final on Monday. Fans gathered at the club's headquarters in Rio de Janeiro to watch the semi-final match against Egypt's Al Ahly on a jumbo screen, erupting into chants and celebrations when Fluminense scored twice at King Abdullah Sports City in Jeddah. As the Copa Libertadores champions, Fluminense will now face the winner of the semi-final between Manchester City and Japan's Rawa Red Diamonds on Tuesday. The much anticipated final is scheduled to take place on Friday in Jeddah, promising an exciting showdown for football enthusiasts. A man's childhood dream of having a real Christmas tree has inspired him to create a festival of lights that grows each year and now totals 5 million light bulbs at his estate in central Croatia. Over the weekend, hundreds of delighted visitors from Croatia and neighboring countries strolled through the Salash family's vast park in Grabovnica near the town of Kazma, adorned with millions of lights on trees, bushes, wooden cottages and bridges. Zlatko Salash, the owner of the Christmas-themed park, known as Salashland, says he had dreamt of such a Christmas fairy tale since he was a boy who lost his mother early and never had a Christmas tree at home. Salash launched his lighting project in 2001 with 70,000 lamps, increasing their numbers each year to reach 5 million lamps this year. The number of visitors to his park has grown accordingly and is estimated at about 100,000 annually. Salash says he reinvests his profits to offer something new to his visitors every year. Drone footage provides a stunning glimpse of Rome, adorned with Christmas lights themed around peace. The serene visuals encapsulate the essence of the holiday season, echoing messages of unity and tranquility in the historic city. On Monday, a volcano in southwest Iceland erupted following weeks of intense earthquake activity, as reported by the country's Met Office. In response to the escalating situation on the Reykjanes Peninsula, authorities took precautionary measures, evacuating the approximately 4,000 residents of the fishing town of Gryndavik. Additionally, the nearby Blue Lagoon geothermal spa was closed as a safety measure. This peninsula is recognized as a volcanic and seismic hotspot situated to the southwest of the capital city. The eruption raised concerns about potential hazards in the region, prompting the evacuation and closure of popular establishments. The visuals accompanying this information may provide further insight into the magnitude and impact of the volcanic activity in southwest Iceland. Well, that's all the time we have on this show. Up next, News 9 special documentary, First Person PV Vishwanathan. First Person explores unheard stories. Hear this story in his own words.
was in New York City. I teach at Pace University, and I was sitting in my office and I was working, and I got a call from one of my nephews, Naftali, who had connections with Princeton. And it seems that the Chabad, the emissaries, had been searching around to try and find somebody who could speak Indian languages. So that's how it started.